I'm Clara, 29, sitting in my sleek office as the CFO of a tech startup on the verge of becoming a billion-dollar company. I also run a chain of vintage bookstores inherited from my grandmother. My life could have taken a very different path, and this story is a wild ride. I grew up in a seemingly average middle-class family in Michigan. My father, Tom, was a district supervisor for a shipping company, and my mother, Linda, worked part-time as an accountant for a small law firm. I have a brother, Nathan, 4 years my senior. To outsiders, we were a typical family, 2 kids, a suburban home, and weekly barbecues. But inside, there was an unspoken hierarchy. Nathan was the star. It didn't matter that Nathan coasted through school with barely passing grades or spent hours gaming and partying. He was the son, the family's pride. I was just the daughter, expected to be polite, assist mom with chores, and eventually settle down with a nice guy. I buried myself in books, not to impress anyone, but because I loved knowledge. I was the kid who geeked out over algebra and spent free periods in the library. By my junior year, I had a perfect GPA, led the speech club, and earned cash tutoring math. My counselor said I had a shot at top-tier schools. Nathan, meanwhile, was limping along with C's and occasional F's. "Boys take longer to grow up," Mom would say. "He'll find his calling," Dad would chime in. They shelled out thousands for Nathan's SAT coaches and even hired someone to polish his college applications. When I asked for similar help, Dad shrugged. "You're smart enough to manage." And I did. I studied relentlessly, used free online resources, and took practice tests every weekend. When acceptance letters arrived senior year, I was floored. Harvard with a full scholarship covering tuition, housing, and books. All I had to do was keep my grades up and work part-time at the campus bookstore. I rushed to show Mom the letter, expecting joy. She gave a strained smile and said we'd discuss it when Dad was home. That was my first red flag. Days passed with no discussion. Nathan's rejections piled up. Every school, even his backups, said no. My parents were frantic, making calls, blaming everyone but Nathan. A week before I was set to leave for Cambridge, they called a family meeting over lasagna and wine. I thought they'd finally acknowledge my achievement. I was wrong. Dad started with a speech about family duty and sacrifices. Then he dropped the bombshell. "Clara, we need you to turn down Harvard." I thought it was a prank, but his face was stone cold. "Nathan needs our help to get into college. You can start at community college and transfer later." Mom added, "A woman doesn't need a fancy degree, Clara. You'll do fine anywhere. Nathan needs the boost." I was speechless. They wanted me to throw away a Harvard scholarship so they could pour money into getting Nathan into some mediocre private school. "Are you serious?" I stammered. Dad's voice hardened. "Don't be selfish. This is about family." I shot back. "Family? Or just Nathan? You've paid for his tutors, his prep courses, everything. I earned this myself." The fight escalated. Dad yelled about my ingratitude. Mom sobbed, accusing me of splitting the family. Nathan smirked, knowing he'd won. Dad's final words were an ultimatum. "Decline Harvard by Friday or you're out of this house." I cried all night, then called my grandmother Ellen, who lived an hour away. Grandma Ellen was a sharp, self-reliant woman who'd run a vintage bookstore chain since Grandpa passed 20 years ago. She listened to my story, then said, "Pack your bags and come to me." I left at dawn, stuffing clothes into duffel bags, grabbing my laptop and papers, and driving to her house in my rusty Toyota. Grandma Ellen greeted me with tea and muffins, showed me to her spare room, and helped me plan. Harvard was gone. I'd missed the enrollment deadline during my parents' manipulation. But the local community college was still open for applications. "It's not Harvard," Grandma said, "but it's a step forward." She covered my deposit for a tiny apartment near campus, and I juggled night shifts at a cafe, tutoring, and classes. I barely slept, surviving on diner leftovers and instant noodles, but kept my grades flawless to transfer somewhere better. My parents left voicemails calling me dramatic, urging me to come home and apologize. I ignored them. Nathan texted once, calling me a traitor. I blocked him. Grandma Ellen became my only family, inviting me for dinners and sneaking cash into my backpack. When my car died, she paid for repairs, refusing repayment. "Real family supports each other," she'd say. After 2 years, I transferred to Michigan State with a partial scholarship. I worked as a library assistant and a weekend barista, still living frugally but moving forward. Grandma kept me updated on my family. They'd gotten Nathan into a costly private college in New York, taking out loans and dipping into savings. He flunked out after 2 years due to poor grades and a cheating scandal. They found another school in Georgia, but he dropped out after 1 term, moving home to play video games while my parents paid his bills. I graduated Michigan State with honors in economics, landed a job at a consulting firm, and started saving. My employer's tuition program helped me enroll in an MBA at the University of Michigan. It was grueling, full-time work plus night classes, but I graduated with Grandma Ellen cheering me on. Over dinner, she dropped a bombshell. She was leaving me her estate, her house, investments, and bookstores. "Your parents' actions were unforgivable," she said. "They picked the wrong child to favor." I tried to protest, but she was firm. "Tom made his choice. He doesn't get a dime." 5 years ago, she updated her will, adding a clause explicitly disinheriting my parents for their treatment of me. Grandma Ellen passed at 83, and her funeral was tense. My parents and Nathan attended, eyeing me like I was their ticket to her wealth. At the will reading, their jaws dropped. The estate, $900,000 house, $2.5 million in investments, and the bookstore chain went to me. Grandma left my parents $1 each to reflect how they valued their daughter. Dad exploded, accusing me of manipulating Grandma. Her lawyer, Mr. Andrews, calmly presented a psychiatrist's report confirming her mental clarity and a notarized statement detailing my parents' betrayal. Tom chose to discard his daughter for a son who's shown no drive, it read. "Clara deserves my legacy." Mom wept, pleading, "We're your parents," I replied. "You stopped being my parents when you tried to ruin my future," and left. They contested the will, claiming I'd turned Grandma against them. In court, Mr. Andrews presented evidence of Grandma's active business management, her social ties, and affidavits about my parents' favoritism, including from my high school counselor. The judge threw out their case. After a year, I inherited everything. I sold Grandma's house, invested most of it, and used $400,000 to start a scholarship for low-income women with academic potential, ensuring it was managed transparently. The bookstores were a challenge. I knew finance, not books. I kept Grandma's trusted manager, updated the systems, and launched an online shop with social media campaigns. Within 2 years, I expanded to 4 Michigan stores and a thriving e-commerce site. My corporate career soared too. I moved from analyst to finance director at a startup, then became CFO at a company that raised $80 million in Series D funding. At 29, I'm a young CFO, but my grit and track record earned me the role. Meanwhile, my parents' lives crumbled. Nathan's gambling addiction, online betting, then casinos, left him owing dangerous people. He drained their accounts, maxed their credit cards, and vanished to Florida, working odd jobs to dodge creditors. My parents, who'd refinanced their home for Nathan's tuition, lost it to foreclosure. Now in their late 50s, they live in a rundown apartment. Dad works as a gas station clerk, and Mom cleans houses, scraping by. During probate, Mom called, begging for $600,000 to save their home, promising repayment. "How?" I asked. "You have no money," she cried. "We're family," I laughed bitterly. "Family? Like when you forced me to ditch Harvard? Ask Nathan." They tried legal threats, but Mr. Andrews shut them down. After losing in court, they hit rock bottom. A friend saw Mom at a discount store, haggard, pinching pennies. Nathan's in Florida, couch surfing, his LinkedIn a blank slate. Some say I should help them, but they don't get it. They don't know what it's like to be 18, told your dreams are worthless because you're a girl, working endless shifts to survive. They chose Nathan, and he failed them. I don't pity them, they reaped what they sowed. My startup's IPO is looming, potentially making my equity worth millions. The bookstores are expanding to Indiana. I own a modern loft, drive a hybrid SUV, and travel freely. But the real win? I did it without them. Every milestone, every dollar is mine despite their betrayal. Nathan messaged me on LinkedIn preaching family unity. I didn't reply. He sees my CFO title, my degrees, my success, everything he could have had if he'd worked for it. My parents are stuck in their crumbling world, probably still blaming me. Do they regret that ultimatum over lasagna? Do they see their favoritism cost them everything? I doubt it. They'll always think I'm the villain. But their rejection forged me. It taught me resilience, self-reliance, and what not to value. Without their cruelty, I might not have fought so hard. Grandma Ellen saw their failure and ensured justice, leaving her legacy to the grandchild who earned it. Forgiveness, they're not worth my thoughts. I'm indifferent, they're just ghosts from a past I've outgrown. My life is rich with chosen family, friends, mentors, colleagues, and the scholarship recipients whose letters about their dreams light up my world. The scholarship will outlast us, empowering women like me for generations. That's my legacy. The girl forced to ditch Harvard is now a millionaire CFO and entrepreneur. The parents who said a woman doesn't need an education are broke. The brother they banked on is a fugitive from his own mistakes. Call it karma or justice. I call it proof I was worth betting on.